So we finished up on the liquidity ratio in the last video, just to talk now about what solvency means. So liquidity is looking at current assets to current liabilities. So have you any cash, or liquidity, or liquid means cash available. Whereas here solvency is looking at all of the assets, so the long-term ones also, and all the liabilities. So overall picture of the business, how is it doing? All of the debts that they have, not only in the short term from bills and loans and overdrafts and creditors, but also looking at any money they owe to shareholders, any long-term loans to banks. Because remember, they all have to be paid back. Whereas the total assets would bring in having to sell off any buildings, machinery, and if they did, would they be able to pay back all these loans, etc. So if they can't, then they have a solvency issue. They're insolvent, and therefore then they'll go bankrupt, and all their assets would have to be sold to pay back debt. So that's the chapter. As usual, learn the chapter summary, learn your ratios, because these are very important. You're going to have to know them and use them when you're calculating any of the formulas. So do some of the questions there, questions 1 to 8 in the book and the activity book, and we will look at some of the answers then. So even just looking at question 1, straightforward enough. If you look at the chapter summary, you're filling in the blanks. The final accounts provide a business with valuable information about its financial position. Okay, so it's all about how they are doing financially. The number of times a business's stock has been sold and replaced during a trading period is called the rate of stock turnover. Okay, and how much money a business has made is known as its profit, or profitability in general. And something is the ability of a business to meet its short-term debts, and you're talking here about the liquidity, because remember, your current assets, short-term or current liabilities, are your debts. And solvency is the ability of a business to meet its external liabilities, or long-term liabilities, or overall liabilities, I suppose. F, then a business is solvent if the external liabilities are greater than the total assets. So, or sorry, insolvent even, isn't it? So if they have more liabilities than assets, whereas they're insolvent, solvent if the value of its total assets is greater than external liabilities or total liabilities. So they're solvent in question 1, part G. You have to go on then and name 3 stakeholders who will be interested in the financial performance of business and give reasons for their interest. So think of all the different stakeholders, employers, the managers, employees, and investors. So banks, investors will be looking very much at the profitability and the liquidity and how much money they get back in interest or dividends if they're shareholders. Whereas your employees will be looking at profitability to ensure that their jobs are secure. Same with managers and anyone who's involved in the business. And looking then at an example here, so year 1 to year 2, you have to calculate the gross profit percentage for the 2 years and look at the trend from 1 year to the next. So in the next video, I will put up the solutions and you can correct the answers.